With that, I'll conclude my lecture here. We're down with the PC for some more info or even some more models to show you, because there's a lot of more to show to you. And I'll thank you for the attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tissingh. I'm very impressed by the 3D technology you're using to offer and to prove transparency in architecture and urbanism. I would like to ask you if you would add 2D plans too into your project, or is it...
What kind of plans, sorry?
2D and 2D, just plans without 3D, no images. Just plans, floor plans, for example.
What happens then?
Or is it less interesting for architects or the others to read or to understand?
Well, we're talking here about spatial planning, so it needs some imagination of what is going to happen, how it's going to happen, how it's going to look like. You have to feel and see distances, see heights, what is the consequences of something. The transitions in the spatial outside are big with these, so you can't imagine that. What our experience is, and that's also with just 3D on a computer on an information evening, is that the information is so much better provided. Everybody, professional, citizen, but also someone who doesn't have a feeling of space, can understand it. And when the information is correct, you can understand it. You have a good debate, you have a good discussion on what is good and what is bad. We might still disagree on what is good and what is bad, but at least we understand, have the same, we see the same, what is going to happen. We talk about the same, there's no misinterpretation, and it really, really helps a lot.
Okay, so you would say that the 3D images are much more international, maybe?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And from a commercial point of view,
much
really,
more quickly to get. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which scale should architects and urbanists give information, would you say? And in which scale should they explore ideas?
Always and every time.
Each scale? Even details of, let's say, materials or...
Well, if you're convinced as a government or professional or whatever that the opinion of your citizens matter and that you really want to use it or benefit from it, or from a principal point of view want to give them decision power, then you should do it.
Okay, that's very interesting. So we have one question of the audience.
Are the people who are involved in these, are they experts, not necessarily having impact or being impacted by the project, or is it focused on residents who are impacted by the project?
We will probably combine the two people. Of course, in the first stage of making alignments, you do have a team of professionals being there, because you can't have it all. I mean, it's also, you have also technical boundaries, financial boundaries, so you should be very, very clear on that. But in the end, everybody who wants to say something or has an opinion about a design or about something else, I think you should be able to provide them in giving it. On the other hand, whether you weigh it or not in your final decision depends, I think, a little bit on if someone in Maastricht, for example, has an opinion on Hamburg, on a project in Hamburg, and he never has visited here. Yeah. Should you weigh that opinion in your decision? I doubt it.
I think there's a slight distinction between opening up projects for citizens criticism versus open innovation. So we have a challenge here, and experts from Japan, if you have something to add to this project, you're welcome. So you're much more focused on not getting open innovation or getting experts involved, but getting experts to help citizens voice their problems, issues, and then redesign it. Is that correct?
That's quite correct. I didn't mention another project that we're currently running. It's about a rural housing area. It's 40 to 60 houses that are able to be developed on that land. And we said to the owner of the land and the local government, let's give freedom to everybody. Let a group of people decide themselves what to do, as well as the housing itself or as the whole community. And for that process, we looked for somebody, a professional, who put in his technical and his expertise and as an architect. And then it's, in Holland at least, it was very hard to find someone who was, as Peter always said, giving service to the people instead of presenting himself as, I'm going to tell what is good for you. And that's a little bit the difference, as you say. Oh, if that's the mindset of a professional, I think that should be the mindset.
Yeah, the most used argue of the governments is that they want to gain time, that they don't want to lose time, and this kind of process you are using, is it like you're gaining time, or are you?
We for this project we don't know yet. It's always
or others.
Always hard.
Because it's a process,
it's a process, yeah. But it's one of the. What I always say is, when you want to improve the quality of decision making, you should use things as virtual reality. You should use things as e-participation, and you should hire the right professionals with the right mindset for that. And yeah, what is the quality of decision making? Is that a feeling of fair play? Is that an outcome that citizens have decided for themselves completely, or is that faster? Yeah, I think that's for every project different, and it depends on the client, on the government.
So the effect is much more important than making it quickly or to end very quickly with the project.
But quickly is also an effect. In some cases, it needs to be quick. I think you have to be honest about that. Some things need to go faster, and then you design your process differently, because that's important in that case.
Okay, and would you say that transparency needs transparent game rules?
Sorry, transparent?
Game rules?
Game rules?
Yeah, rules.
Game rules.
For example, what about registrations?
Sorry,
registrations.
Yeah, we use registrations on the internet, but you can do it on a dummy name. But we do ask. When it goes to anonymous, we do ask a confirmation through the internet, through the email, for that. And
do you break with anonymity?
No, we don't.
No. Is it visible? Everybody can read.
Everybody can. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And what kind of rules do we need in this context of transparency? What would you propose?
Rules for?
Like everything, do we have rules according, for example, discriminating invocations like we had a few months ago in Germany, for example, and a big panic just because of that? What would you propose to have more transparent rules?
Yeah, I think that's a different question. You can have a complete debate on rules and respect on that, because you're talking about mutual respect on citizens.
Yeah, that's it.
You're planning, you're saying that. In Holland we had the same problem with our national political party, meneer Geert Wilders, who made a point on the internet where everybody who had a complaint on Polish laborers, gas laborers, could complain there. That's very difficult, because you can say, okay, there's a rule that I don't allow it, but that doesn't ignore the problem. You ignore the problem with that. So our Prime Minister said, I have no opinion on that. It's just something that the political party does. But there you are in a really big dilemma, because you are offending people. On the other hand, ignoring it or making it illegal and forbid it is not the way to work either. I find it a really hard question.
So we have to discuss about this, maybe.
We can have a whole participation process on that either.
Okay. Another question, is a government able to offer really neutral subjects or projects?
Sorry,
or isn't it always acting political by offering a few ideas or certain ideas or details?
What do you mean? Could you repeat one more time?
For example, governments, they are trying to include the population
Yeah.
with transparency. But for example, in Hamburg 10 years ago, we had this kind of project, and some projects are on their way to be realized. That's very nice, but they proposed several projects. But by offering these, are they really neutral, or are they political by offering a few and certain projects? That's very specific.
I know politicians who do these things just clearly on their political motivation, but I also know politicians that are completely opposed to that and do it really from a convinced idealism that it is the way that it should work, and they are always happy with the outcome because it's the outcome of a process. But in the end, that's what I was saying. In Holland, it's government-driven, the spatial planning. The government has such a big influence, and for there, it really depends on just the person that is there. And I'm not able to judge on whether a politician does it well or doesn't do it well. I do vote on certain politicians and certain not, but they're in charge, so I can't blame them for being wrong or not wrong.
Okay, thank you. I would like to open up to the audience if we have any other questions.
I have a question not only for you, but also for the other speakers before you in this session. It's something that, the way I understand it, it may be very country dependent or legislation dependent, so not the same in every country of Europe, but it's a question for you, it's a question for your colleague from Belgium. We are, in all these presentations, we are stressing the value that comes out of the crowdsourcing aspect. So more inputs are good because they improve the quality and the detail and the utility and usefulness of the plan. In Italy, at least, we have another issue which is as important as the previous one. The issue is that all the people who have interest or are affected according to any principle, they must have their say. They must be asked to participate. Then, in case they don't participate, it's another matter, but at least they must be invited to take part in the discussion. Which makes this term participation a little bit more ambiguous in my view, because on one hand we are speaking about participation like we did this morning, no, as a way to just think of the Birmingham example, with more people attending the issue of the new plan or the new website, we can improve the overall results. But there is also that other meaning. So what's your contribution with this tool and the methodology behind, or what is your opinion as a planner, as an expert on this, about these two meanings of participation, one just as a way to improve and the other one as a way to let all the people who must take part really part of the game?